Do you ever do? Whoa. Do you ever do this thing that I'm doing, where you have the camera on a night that you should otherwise be going to bed already? Um, where your brain and body could be relaxing and settling down, and I was just watching videos. I'm in the middle of watching a movie right now. Or I was. But now, for the last 4 minutes, I've been trying to get my thoughts in order, trying to find a thought that I want to share. Trying to decide which ones I want to share first. So, in no particular order, I've been out of weed for, I'm not sure. I don't really keep count of days. I want to say 2 to 3 weeks sober. Um, Not really by choice, but I'm not stressing about it either, which is fortunate. I'm lucky that I'm able to get by without. And the other day, I tried watching some of Pop Tech Manifest, the first vlog I uploaded a few months ago, and you know, it's a rough one to start on. It's whatever art experience I was feeling when I was recording and editing that. I seemed to have a lot of I demanded a lot of patience from you, the viewer, which turned into me later. I was the viewer yesterday, and uh, I couldn't really draw any meaning out of those pregnant silences. And and I didn't watch the whole video. Whether or not it would be worth my time to rewatch it, I don't know. But to rewatch it sober, I just really didn't feel like doing. My mind is already like, just now, just in these few seconds, I'm thinking like, ooh, how interesting could I read into that? Like, what does it mean? The silences, the time I spend thinking about what I'm gonna say that gets cut out. Um, and especially in the context of that video, trying to read into something that you just kind of can't get that much out of, or whatever you get out of it is so much left to your own interpretation that you may as well just be staring at a wall. Maybe that's analogous to the time I spent talking to Cleverbot or something. I don't know. So, what has it been? 2, maybe 3 months? I have deeply enjoyed the last few months. Um, you know me, I I prefer not to stagnate. I really like to review myself to see if I am both having fun, for one, but then for two, I want to be effective at the things that I want to do. And I want to, even if I'm not necessarily spending every day of every week creating something or practicing a specific skill, I like to build on my like I like to I don't know how to put it to words. When I do decide to move my body to create something, I like to move very quickly and efficiently. Um, God, I still bite the inside of my mouth. I bite the insides of my mouth all the time, and it just feels like too much tonight. Eesh. So when I was recording the last batch of videos, I think probably obvious to tell, but whatever. Um, I had things that I wanted to express and communicate, and I felt it would be valuable to document that process of self expression. I think it felt dire to me at the time. In between now and then, one day I was looking at my pirating website of choice, just a site to watch TV and movies on. And every now and then, maybe once every couple months, I'll find myself scrolling just completely at the mercy of whatever show catches my eye. Um, and like I really only do that once every couple months. Like it's rare that I'll like just be like, okay, what is there? What came out recently? and and I picked a show and 2 minutes into it, it struck me that I may it it I could I could maybe only describe it as a miracle find because 2 minutes in, Nathan Fielder shows up playing a character, and he's one of my like big inspirations. I have seen for sure every episode of Nathan for You. I think I've seen every episode of Nathan on Your Side. Um, and then the rehearsal came out in recent years, and I was watching every episode as it came out. Oh my god. Oh, I've got to watch the rehearsal with more of my loved ones. I I've I think I've only watched it by myself so far. I think I tried to show it to a couple of partners, but I kept having to say, "Hey, are you okay with this, and this, like trigger warning, like this is like this might haunt you if if these topics disturb you, and if watching these things play out potentially in real life would be too much." And and so I don't know, that's kind of a hard way to sell somebody on a show, so I didn't really get very far. But um and I don't know, maybe you think that's a little bit excessive or a little bit silly, but I don't really watch TV shows on a cursory level. um and I'd really and I kind of mean that in a braggy way, because like I don't know, it's my fucking craft. I love watching things. I'm good at watching things. But also, in a way, I get too immersed. Um, I will, I'll generally buy whatever a media is selling on a conceptual level. Like, I don't want to miss a thing. I don't want to miss a single line of dialogue, a single like visual shot. If I'm watching it for the first time, I really, really want to catch everything. Um, because, you know, you're supposed to put the pieces together and derive meaning from everything that is in it. So I want to catch everything. And and Nathan Fielder is a treat. He is a beautiful man, a lovely artist. And the rehearsal felt like it came out of nowhere, and it was very interesting and experimental. It kind of has to be, since it depends so much on just watching what real people do and how they react and how they break under bizarre circumstances, pushed to unreal extremes. And so it is very much not experimental, is, you know, it literally is an experiment. Like, it's a science experiment, like a social experiment, very literally. So then, by total chance, I got to watch the first episode of The Curse. I just happened to see the picture for it, um, while scrolling through a list of TV shows that had come out recently, and I clicked it because I thought it had an interesting picture, as well as an interesting description, something about a problematic HGTV show, uh, etc., etc. And for it to be the new Nathan Fielder project swept me off my feet right away. I was like, oh, hot damn, yes, 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 Nathan. I love Nathan. And so, of course, pretty much all of his previous works have been mostly nonfiction, or at least, you know, they're supposed to be nonfiction. I think some parts of some things may have been scripted. No, I'm thinking of Eric Andre show. I don't know if any of Nathan Fielder's bits were scripted. I don't know. I can't say. Um, but what I'm trying to say is that The Curse was the first time we were working in the realm of scripted fiction. Like, he's not being himself, he's playing a character. Everyone else is playing characters. The shit is written in advance, and that is also deeply exciting as someone who's following his artistic journey. Um, to just strap yourself in and just be along for the ride of okay, I love what he does with reality. What will he do writing outside of those constraints? Very, of course, I was very excited, and for the 10 weeks that The Curse was airing, I mean, every week I was just looking forward to that night more than anything. The new episode. I was telling all my friends about it every time something was too cringe for me to handle by myself. I needed to share it. Um Ugh, excuse me. Ugh. Okay, for the rest of this video, actual spoiler warning. You see, the previous parts of this video were spoiler free. Spoiler warning, I'm not gonna intentionally spoil anything that happens, but I'm going to talk about my experience with The Curse freely. And that, so if you're hearing about it for the first time and you're thinking like, ooh, new Nathan Fielder thing, I didn't hear about that, maybe I'm gonna watch that. Or if you're um and yeah, if you're interested in watching it without getting any like sort of preempted ideas in your head given by me about it, go watch it. Go watch it. Don't watch me. Um, if you're one of my loved ones who I'm gonna watch The Curse with someday, you can also watch this video. It's fine. Episode 10, the final episode of season 1 of The Curse, um, re-traumatized me for like the 2 weeks that followed. Every day felt like I was in such an intense emotional state that like I was writing diaries that would basically start with how many days it had been since I had seen the finale, like day 4 of me reacting to The Curse. I felt throughout watching The Curse, I felt very aware that aspects of the show are about someone like me and the pitfalls that the actions of someone like me might fall into for someone who doesn't actually sort out their motivations and doesn't exist in community with others, but rather exists above or beside other people. And maybe it's not like an uncommon thing for a person to feel that it's desperately important that they appear righteous, and that maybe we spend a lot of time wishing for scenarios in which we could prove how good we are. I mean, literally, I remember in elementary and middle school, I very much remember I kept fantasizing. This is embarrassingly specific and simple, but I kept fantasizing about a scenario in which someone I loved was like dangling from a cliff, and then like a life changing amount of money was also dangling from a cliff, so that I could finally, prove that like I would choose to save the person and not the money. And I just kept I would think about that for days, for years even. The like I thought, I know I'm a good person, but there's not enough situations that let me prove that to others. How do I prove it without the opportunity to? Maybe more so, rather than maybe going out and looking for ways to do good things, just kind of sitting around lamenting that like I don't get a chance to communicate my goodness as much as I would like. I think what the curse does so impossibly effectively is, if you share these anxieties with any of the characters, if you find yourself relating, or if you find yourself scared even of doing the things they're doing and following in their footsteps, and well, then what I think you're relating to is the lack of connection to others. That's definitely, to me, the thing they have most in common. The three characters played by Nathan Fielder, Emma Stone, and Benny Safdie, is an ability to connect and communicate yourself in a way that the word communicate is doing a lot of work there, because there's, you can say things and they can be maybe true, but communicating is another thing, and it takes two to communicate. You know, like you can say the things and you can mean the things, and maybe the meaning exists within the things you're saying, but they need to be received accurately. And that anxiety seems like it's fizzling out in the finale. Like, it seems like, okay, I guess this just is gonna I guess the show's just gonna end. It's just gonna be another episode like any other. um but in a master class of keeping it interesting, that you spend 10 hours watching this show, are you just gonna get like to the finale and it's just gonna be another episode? Like, all right, whatever. But no, it's not just another episode. It's exciting and unreal compared to anything else that has happened. And the point I was building to is that it's a horror movie, and it's maybe one of the worst kind because it doesn't really warn you that it is, and it just spends 10 hours letting you attach all these little moments of disconnection and miscommunication, and you so I tether myself to the characters. I tether myself to the show, to the whatever it's trying to say. And I'm trying to think, like, you could say that, like, oh well, and then the show ends, right? So maybe that's a part of why I had such a strong reaction to it, is just that it ended. But the things that happened in the finale really override that feeling. I really didn't I did not come away from it thinking, oh, why wasn't there more? There should have been more. No, they ended it. They ended it all right. And it's a horror show. It's I Oh, the closer I get to just explaining what happened, the shakier I get. I seriously, like, I will fully admit, for the first 2 or 3 days after finishing the show, I was scared that what happened in episode 10 was going to happen to me at any moment, as if it could somehow escape the confines of this fictional show and would just happen to me. Because I think, while still being kind of vague about it, it can happen to anyone. It could happen to anyone, anywhere, at any time. And the final episode ends detached from the main characters. The camera suddenly just starts roaming free. The final shots of the show are the camera just suddenly, like, not watching the characters anymore, but just drifting off, wandering down the street, wandering as if it's gonna find its next victim, you know. um and what happened after the first couple days, after I kind of moved on, I was able to calm myself by talking to people. I guess let's not skip over that. The first thing is I've never felt more trapped by just having watched a show that because watching things is so important to me, and sharing things with people I love and watching it with them is so important to me that of course I have a code of conduct about spoilers. I don't, I want them to be able to achieve the same artistic experience with the show that I experienced. So there's this horrible thing that happened in my brain for the first week or so that, like, proportional to how much I love someone and how much I trust someone and how much I want to share things with them, is that's how much more I didn't want to spoil anything about it for them. But and after a few days I finally recognized how intense of an emotional reaction I was having, that I just realized going through this alone is hurting me. And telling myself, oh, I'd have to schedule my way through watching all 10 episodes with someone who I care about and who cares about me in order to get them to the point that I could talk about it with them without spoiling it for them. And then I was thinking also, like, accurately thinking, like, usually when I watch things with people, I'm really able to enter a headspace of, okay, I'm not going to spoil it for them, but I'm excited. I'm excited to get there with them. And I'll enjoy every hour of every episode with them by, just by calming down and just being like, okay, let's enjoy the rewatch. I'll keep my thoughts to myself a little bit, but then I'll also want to be present with them and reacting to it with them. And when I thought about the urgency that I felt, the need to talk about the emotions I was going through and the things I was experiencing, I thought, I'm not going to enjoy watching this with people right now. I'm just going to be like, this isn't like ooh, I want to watch this with you. Let's go at whatever pace is correct for you. It was more of we need to get to episode 10. I'm having like panic attacks. I'm having panic attacks every night. Like nightmares, crying myself to sleep, basically. And so by like the fifth or sixth day, I realized I'm not going through this alone. And I sat with one of my loved ones and told them how much it was affecting me. I told them what happened. I spoiled it for them. And I spoiled it for it. And that opened the floodgates to things, to connections to my own past traumas that I hadn't made yet. I had not consciously realized, like, what this had brought me back to with my own experiences of not being able to connect and not being able to express my inner world to, like, the family I grew up with, and how much there's just a lot of specific things that it was things that I have tried not to think about for years, because when I became an adult and I moved out, I was able to move away from those experiences, and I was able to just, try to live my life and try to have new experiences and form connections that didn't make me feel so belittled and I really kind of grew up feeling like I needed to prove that I had sincere feelings and connections and ideas, and and the show just kind of really came down upon me with a force that I wasn't ready for. So thank you so fucking much for listening. if you've ever if I have ever vented to you about anything, cuz the weight of going through life alone is unbearable. So, once I felt personally less scared about what was going on with the show, or scared about myself, and once I kind of got my own house in order a little bit, um, I started panicking about other people in my life, and and really starting to question like how much, because so first there was me scared that if I was in a crisis and needed to reach out to someone and explain something impossible and ask for help, would I be able to? Do I have those connections in my life? Do I have the skills to communicate that kind of thing? And do I have the relationships that with people that would be able to handle that, or would be able to work through that with me? And thank fuck the answer is yes. Um, like I don't mean thank fuck because I mean thank fuck because what would I do otherwise? Just in general, and I don't take that for granted. That's huge. Like yeah, like I mean beyond the context of just this show and those feelings, like in life you need people that you can rely on. And so once I got those feelings in order a little bit, I began wondering about, because like I know there's people that I can do that for. There's people that I can listen to and I can hear their problems, and and you know, whether they tell me what they need and I'm able to give it to them, or if I'm able to provide something they didn't know they needed, I'm overjoyed to be able to provide that to others. But what about the people who I have failed to make that kinds of connections with? What about the people that I only know on a superficial, like surface level type way? People who might, I wondered if is there anyone who would come to me with a problem that I would be able to help with if I were to take them seriously, if I were to ask them, if I were just to ever ask, how are you doing? What are you struggling with right now? Like, because, I mean, there have to be people in my life that I'm, you know, like, and, and it felt like I really appreciate the curse for escalating that concept to, for me, it making me think about it in a life or death way, which is a way that I hadn't been forced to think about for a long time. The closest confrontation to that feeling I would describe was like a decade ago when I was in high school talking to my best friend Luna on Skype all the time, and 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 one day for some reason she communicated the um how she felt I would react, that the way that I view our relationship, that the way I view her was this unreliable, like I would kind of like, so just the specific story, I'll just try and get through it very quickly, is just that if she got hit by a car and I saw it happen, I would just run out into the street, like focused more on my own experience of her, my own experience with her, mourning the loss of my relationship with her, because of how much it means to me, because it meant a lot, but that doesn't immediately translate to caring about her and doing what's best for her, and like, you know, maybe calling for help and doing whatever I can to help in the moment to extend her life. You know? Does that make sense? Like, and so I don't know. This felt like this felt like a real nice new kick in the pants to stop wallowing so much and to start being more reliable if I'm capable of it. Because people aren't going to package their crises in such a convenient way that you're gonna know, oh, this is one of those moments. This is one of those like do or die, life or death things. Like I need to act, and I need to act calmly and correctly. Like that's you don't want to have to suddenly switch gears to being like, oh, now I take this seriously. Now I take you seriously as a person. I want to take people seriously every day. I want to take everyone seriously. I want people to know that I want people to be able to trust me and come to me and get help if they need it. And I'm because I mean I feel like for the last year I have been intentionally working internally in my on myself, kind of somewhat aimlessly, but still working on it to be better. And this was such a shock to my whole system of of a direction, of a specific thing to work away from and a thing to work towards. You know, just working towards sincerity and communication and being able to listen to people. Because if you're not able to listen during times that you think it's not important, you're not going to be listening well enough to know when it is important. You're going to miss it. So, by the way, since then, I've learned who the Safdie brothers are, and I spent the last couple weeks watching their movies, and I absolutely love it. I absolutely love it. I listened to some of their interviews, and uh, how did I describe it to Luna that I've never felt like another grown up has ever made watching TV and movies sound as important as it is to me, as the Safdie brothers do. So, um, I am absolutely enamored. I'm in love. I'm glad to have gotten to discover them through the curse. Benny Safdie, phenomenal character performance. I I I wasn't gonna go check out their work until watching his post Q&A sessions about the curse, and just hearing the way he talks to audiences, and the the amount of discussion he wants to have, the amount of like that when he's like answering questions at these Q&A sessions after premiering episodes, that apparently after, you know, time runs out for the filmed Q&A, that he just goes outside with all the people that were there and will just continue answering questions. And I mean, that's lovely. And it's the contents of the answers that are I'm in love. I'm in love. Like, fuck yeah. So stream Daddy Longlegs. It's on YouTube, by the way. If you're a fool like me who goes around searching all my pirating sites, where is this? I want to watch this movie. I want to watch this movie. It's not. It's not on. It's not. I can't torrent it anywhere. Where is it? It's just on YouTube. You dingus. Um, I'm gonna finish watching The Pleasure of Being Robbed. I'm like 3/4 of the way through it. I feel like there's something to it that I really already enjoy, that feels like, because they talk about how film is perverse and evil, that, like, you know, it's manipulating reality, it's giving you these experiences, and I'm feeling this certain vibe with The Pleasure of Being Robbed that is like, and maybe, and you know, this is a little bit out there, it's whatever, I'm a silly art girl, but it I don't know how to drive, and there are these scenes in the movie where the main character is being taught how to drive by another character, and it's just detailed and kind of in real time, and it's very silly, and I was kind of thinking to myself, I feel like I'm being robbed of the experience of, like, I'll never quite get to sit in a car with somebody and have them tell me these things for the first time, because suddenly that experience is being taken from me by this thing that I'm watching. Like, does that make any sense? I don't know. All right. I'm gonna go now. It's the end of the video. Let me give you your hug. All right. Here, there. I love you. Take care. Here, you can have a spinach and anchovies chip for the road. Oh, ooh.